Welcome back to the Power Team Will podcast, and I'm your host, David. And we'll be continuing the next episode into the system of education. And I'm with my special guest.
Latoya
What's your last name, girl?
Williams.
I'm sorry, woman. Yes, Miss Latoya Williams. That's my wife, my spouse of gracious of 16 years. We're talking about an education system. Yes, she teach once again in the elementary school system. She teach fifth grade. She's been teaching there. It's something that she loved to do. So if you've been following me in these past episodes, we talked about lesson plans. We talked about districts. We talked about parent relationships. We talked about how the curriculum worked inside the education system where she worked at. So this should be our last and final episode, people. Last and final episode. Here we're gonna just have a little general reflection about her experience within the education system. So first question I want to talk about, I want to put on the table, but even for you, and we can talk about it. What do you find most reward? What's the word?
Rewarding.
Yes, about teaching elementary school. What's rewarding for you?
For me, it's I would say the connection that you make with the kids and knowing that they, one, trust you
Mm-hmm.
and they are willing to learn what you are teaching them.
So you feel like you actually making them want to learn.
Yes.
Mm. Do you feel like do you feel like there's any students that you had that really stand out to you?
This year, um, yeah, I do.
Yeah. How's this class? How was it teaching gifted and higher achieving students? Is it better? Has it been? Do you feel like, oh, this is it? This is.
Well, a lot of people don't know
Mm-hmm.
that gifted and high achiever students are considered special education students.
Special what?
Yes. So the special education spectrum goes from one end to the other.
Oh wow.
The gifted and high achievers are on the higher end of the spectrum. And the reason why it's called they're special education students because you can't just teach them like you teach
Regular
normal kids.
Yeah, makes sense.
You have to tap
special
in.
education.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching a special group of kids, students.
Yes. So you
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
tap
yeah.
into their academics as well as their creativity, and you have to meet them where they are. You can't bring them back down to just
Yeah, because they
teaching
ain't gonna
them.
take too well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, I did not know that. How do you stay motivated about teaching? How do you stay
Um,
motivated? Is
the
it
kids,
the kids keep you motivated?
yeah, because they keep with the gifted and high achievers. You cannot go in there thinking that you're gonna fully wing it because
Mm-hmm.
they know, they will know. They challenge you if you say something and it's not correct and they know it's not correct,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna ask you about it.
So now let me ask you. People say now the work in the education system is so challenging. The students are bad, they're horrible, they're disrespectful. Do you find that to be the same challenge for you?
No, this from where I was last year
Mm-hmm.
to this year, I'm also the fifth grade lead.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What is fifth grade lead?
like I said, we have four fifth grade
For
teachers.
fifth grade teachers.
So I am the lead teacher instead of.
So you're in charge of the other fifth grade teachers.
Yes. So I
Oh.
have to make sure that stuff gets done.
Okay.
So if the principal says this needs to be done, I need to make sure my team does it.
Okay.
But
Okay, girl.
but being the lead teacher has taught me taught me that I'm not just responsible for my students. I'm responsible for all the students. So if there is a class, like if we're in the hallway and there's students running or whatever, not following their hallway
You can't just ignore it.
No, I have to say something.
But that's any teacher.
No,
That-
it's not any teacher. And there are teachers within the school whose these are my kids, don't say nothing to my
oh wow.
kids.
Oh, it's just like being a parent saying you can't parent my child,
Yes.
but
But
you send your child to me.
yes. But I let my team know if I see it, I'm going to correct it.
Mm,
Because it's not just a reflection on the student, it's a reflection on all the teachers. And being that at any time, your class may have to come to my class.
yeah.
So,
The reason I asked that question because the internet is blowing up right now, talking about it sucks to be a teacher. It kind of draws people away from being a teacher, you know. And I just wanted to ask you that question to see if you feel any of the wrath from it. But when you was teaching not the gifted, did you feel like did the students make you feel like I don't want to be here?
um, I'm going to be honest,
Hmm.
third grade, no. There was
Hmm.
never a time that I said I didn't want to be there.
Okay.
When I went back as a
But you was a sub though.
permanent sub
See,
last year,
you can't judge that one
yes, I
because it
can.
wasn't your classroom.
It was my classroom.
Yeah.
I
But
was
but
their
but you
teacher.
took over somebody's classroom. So
Yes.
you took over somebody's, whatever culture that they created.
Mm-hmm.
You taking over their stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's not like they were yours. You have to. It was always going to take an adjustment.
But even if
Hmm.
even if that group of students came in at the beginning of the year like that,
Hmm.
I still had to create some kind of positive classroom culture.
Yeah, yeah, but that's when I still don't think that's necessarily would have been you. I don't think you can judge that one being, especially being a sub, because there's a
But
stigma. The students even know the stigma with the sub, and if teachers are making it be like these my students, don't touch my students. You can't, that the students took on, they take on your leadership. They take on, but I don't know if that teacher was like that, so I don't know.
well, I've like I said, I've heard it. I've never encountered it.
Okay.
There has never been a teacher where I corrected a student
Mm-hmm.
and they had an
Because they already
issue
know
with
you
it.
gonna say something.
Yeah. Even if an adult is doing something they're not supposed to.
In the elementary, so um, there's teachers out here, and there's gonna be teachers listening. Is there anything that you would like to change? But when we talk about education, is there something that you don't want to change at your school for the teachers that help the teachers?
The only thing that, I mean, for me, the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
thing that I
That you feel like will help teachers.
would would change that I feel like would help the teachers is um the I guess the time constraints that they put on us.
What you mean? Yeah.
Like if we are expected to teach, like we're expected to deliver instruction in a
Mm-hmm.
certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
You talking about like teaching them units.
yes.
So if you gonna want me to teach these units, let me teach them units.
Yeah, even science and social studies. Like science and social studies, everybody say is rushed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we really don't get to deep dive into science and social studies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're basically teaching what's needed to prepare them for the end of the unit test or assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And that I don't like.
Okay. And I guess I will go to my other question. Like, what would be something that you think would benefit the students? What do you think something the students need? And if you don't have anything right now, you can just say you don't know.
Um,
Cause I like to bring it up because every school is different. What you
yeah,
experience and everything.
I know we do. For me, I think we do a lot of out of the classroom professional development and not having a consistent substitute pool.
Mm.
It really, I think that really hurts our students, especially if they're being taken out of their classroom environment, having to be split up in different classes and dealing with that. I think that doesn't help the students.
Do you think elementary school from where you at, is going into the right vision, or do you think it needs to go into a different vision to help, help the student?
I like curriculum or
Any,
like
you can talk about curriculum, you can talk about just behavior, you can talk about.
um I'm gonna do curriculum first.
Hmm.
I think the curriculum is going in the right
Direction.
direction. Um, like even with science, we do a lot of hands-on,
Hmm.
and I think that helps the students remember more. So they remember the experience of doing the actual activity than writing about it.
Hmm.
So with that, it stays in their long-term memory longer. So when they do move to the next grade, they have that background knowledge of a particular subject or something like that. Um, a lot of people talk about new math. When we learned math, it's now called the standard algorithm.
Hmm.
And we just knew, like, say, multiplication, we just knew to um, multiply the numbers to get the answer. But now we teach them why we multiply these numbers. So it is a different way. Instead of multiplying that 2 times 2,
Hmm.
but the 2 is in the tens place, we multiply 2 times 20 because the value of that 2 is actually 20 because it's in the
You
tens
ain't about to
place.
teach us on this
But
podcast now.
just,
Oh my God.
but I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying.
so have it with them having
Yeah,
an understanding of
yeah.
why we multiply it this way is, I think that's better.
Mm. I thought you about to start teaching.
No.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then with ELA, and I teach gifted and high achievers, but
Hmm.
the ELO program that we use, like it teaches phonics and grammar also.
Well, let me ask this one. I
Phonics.
got one quick question.
Hmm.
So, within social issues, like, so there was an election. Do you feel like the kids in your classroom are in tune with politics? Do you think they're talking about it? They want to know about it?
Yes, they do. Because I had students ask me who I voted for.
Mm.
We district wide, I know we did a mock election.
Hmm.
So they were able to see the actual ballots and go into, like, the way we set it up in our
Yeah, yeah,
library
yeah.
was like a ballot, like a voting station.
Hmm.
They were able to go into the voting station and cast their ballot. They got a sticker that said, I voted.
Oh, really?
And this was leading up to the
So,
election.
what did you hear any type of conversations for the students on how did they talk about it? Did they have any discussions about it? Like,
Yeah, I know they didn't
and did,
go.
did they do the results of what the students did at your school from it? Did they release the results?
I haven't seen it, but that is something that I would want to see.
Yeah, see what the kids
Yeah,
voted on and what the outcome of
because
their election.
they hear their parents talk about it. They hear about it on the news. Even if they're watching YouTube, the political
Dude,
commercials come.
listen, I'm being honest. When I was a kid, I ain't know nothing about no politics. I ain't see it on the news.
No,
All I do was Tom and Jerry.
yeah,
The fifth grade, I didn't know anything. But you say they talking about it.
yep. They talk about it. They ask questions about it. They want to know why certain things the way it is, why
Mm.
certain candidates believe what they believe and stuff like that. Um, Even when it
Cause
comes,
some people will say now that kids are not kids don't even have a working knowledge of it. I did have a student tell me, they saw me and they was like, oh, well, I think they should change the voting age to 15.
mm,
I said, you lost your mind.
we even like even with that, we
And,
tied
and
that
hold on, I
into.
only said you lost your mind just to spark conversation
Hmm.
with them. I'd be wanting them to talk about it. Like, well, why you believe that?
Yeah,
I want to do more than just. I was at the polls. I was helping. I was passed. I want to do more than just that. I
yeah,
want to go cast my ballot. I said, oh, I said, interesting. And that's all I said. I didn't ask who they voting for,
Mm-mm.
and I just saw them setting up. But go ahead, finish.
But even with the election, I had some students who said they go to the polls with their parents.
Mm.
So some parents are engaging their kids in
Mm.
what's going on.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And even when it comes to science, like the eclipse and the weather and
Mm-hmm.
all of that, they tie what we learn into science into what they hear about on TV.
Politics.
And science, politics, all of that.
Oh, stuff like that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
You know,
And
so go ahead, go ahead,
and
go ahead.
another thing, like real world issues reconnected to our curriculum. The biolab fire that we had in Conyers.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed them to write their opinion on it, and they were able to articulate. They cite their evidence.
Oh wow.
News Channel 2, um, the
So they
newspaper.
they listening
Yes, these kids they know how to go on the internet and
and
research
cite their
and
sources.
cite their sources.
And you talking about fifth grade?
Fifth graders, yes,
Oh wow.
and it's not like little baby stuff like it was a fire in Conyers. It's like they actually, according to live Channel 2 news, the biolab fire had residents away from their home because of the chemicals in the air and all of that.
Oh,
So yeah.
I like this. I just like to hear that kids are actually wanting to learn, eager to learn. I always say this, man. It's like some teachers got to understand that kids want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you care and you want to teach, they want to learn. Let me ask you about classroom management. Just talk to me general, like, how's your classroom management, and do you think how important is it setting that up as a teacher?
Classroom is very important. And if you don't, the first week of school, they make us do expectations and
Mm-hmm.
procedures. If you don't have good expectations and procedures set in place that first week of school, you're going to spend the whole entire school year trying to,
Set boundaries.
yes,
How often do students push boundaries? Do they push them?
every single day.
Like, give me an example of a student pushing the boundary.
So we use school-wide noise level symbols.
Okay, yeah.
Zero, a ball, a fist and a
Fist balled up
ball
is 0.
is
Mm-hmm.
zero.
What does that mean?
No
No talking, no
talking at
talking.
all.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a level one, which is whispering.
Okay.
Level two is like indoor
Yeah,
voice.
yeah,
Level three is outside on the playground.
yeah.
And we do a level four, which is emergency.
Mm-hmm.
But they're supposed to be working on a level zero, and then you'll hear students talking. And you be like, okay, such and such, you need to get on level zero. So, um, that same student, they'll stop talking, and then you hear them talking again. And that's the most boundary pushing I get, just
Yeah.
talking, being chatty, extra chatty. But other than that, I don't have behavior issues in my class.
You know, and let me tell you, let's talk about it. We're just talking about education in general because one, you're educated, elementary. I'm an educator, and I see it on the internet quite so often about educators getting on there and saying all these problems that they're having with students. I'm gonna stand on mine. I said part of that is you as the teacher.
It is.
Because once a student lose respect for you, and students know when you don't care about what you're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Once they lose that, then you lose all respect for that student, and that classroom goes to shit.
Yep.
You know, because people try to blame all of it. I'm an adult. I'm an adult, and just to hear you say they don't push you to the limits like that, you know, students like because I can walk in. You ever walk into a classroom and it seems like it's just chaos?
Yes.
And is that same teacher consistent in having chaos in the classroom?
Yes.
And I don't know how to. This is one of my challenges. I don't know about you. I think about it. How do I teach students to behave just like if I was there?
So I know
You ever think about something like that?
I have, because in third grade, when I taught third grade,
Mm-hmm.
no behavior issues in my class. When my students went to specials, if something happened, it always happened
That's special.
outside my classroom, and I was not there.
And the parents calling you.
Yes.
Yep.
So my first thing was, it doesn't, first of all, it didn't happen in my class, but I'm going to talk to the specials teacher to see what happened.
But that's doing too much. That's not your responsibility. Because
But
that special teacher has to make connection with that parent. That's not you.
no, it's not about making connection with the parent. It's my students having integrity. If you don't act like this when I'm there, then
Yeah.
you shouldn't act like this when I'm not.
Yeah. But that's the same mommy daddy rule. Daddy's the discipline, mama's the easy one. So let me go to mommy. Like I guess you say so. You talk to that child to have that level of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to set that foundation right there.
Yes,
I still think that's a home thing.
it could be, but
I still really believe that's a home thing because how you act with your parents, you know. But we know that doesn't happen.
mm-hmm.
But then again, I can't stand on it because my parents didn't teach me anything. So,
Yeah. But after, like, if it was like one student who was acting up, like the next time they went to that specials, that student stayed with me.
oh, wow,
If
okay.
you don't know how to act in that special, then you can't
But that
attend
take
this.
away from your time that you're supposed to be doing planning because you gotta
No, because
watch your
they're
stuff.
just sitting there. I'm not, when I'm planning, I'm not up out of my classroom all over the place.
Yeah,
If I'm planning, I'm in my
in your
class.
class,
Yeah.
and they just sitting there.
Yeah. And if I have to go somewhere, let's go. You going with me?
So, do you ever see it where you keep them after school, like the old school Simpsons thing, right on the board, give them some extra, do something after school, and the parents got to pick them up after school?
No, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have time to keep kids after school.
Oh, really? Send them home, huh?
Yeah. So like with the discipline matrix, I do from the time they come in at 7:35 when I start
Hmm.
instruction till up to lunch. I have a paper where I check off, like I have the hours. If
Yeah.
I have to tell you, if you're supposed to be on a level 0 between 9 and 10, and I catch you talking or disrupting my class, I check it off. If you get 2 checks, you have silent lunch or no recess.
Mm.
Then after lunch, it starts over.
Do you think that discipline should come back? Keeping students after school to write on the board, chalkboard like they did, or they can just write it.
Then the issue with that comes in,
Hold
that
on. Do
comes
you
with
think it should
that.
come back? Yes or no?
As a parent, no.
Okay. As a teacher.
As a teacher,
Because sometimes you got to inconvenience the parents because the students are inconveniencing your class.
but like I said, as a parent, no, because now you've inconvenienced me
That's the
again.
whole point. The
No,
inconvenience the parent.
no, I'm saying as a teacher parent,
Mm.
when 2:55 comes,
You got to go pick up your child.
yes, because my kid don't get out of school until 4.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
kid
yeah,
goes
yeah.
to bed at
Hmm.
8, and that's if they don't have nothing to do. Now that's cutting into my time with my family. So if there was somebody who was dedicated to staying after school to keep those kids, then yes. But
Like
as a
ISS, in school suspension. There should
yes.
be a after school suspension
Well,
sitting
we had,
behind them.
and I noticed last year when I did have behavior issues with students, I didn't like sending them to, they call it, they no longer call it ISS in
Mm.
elementary. They call it not personal, what is it?
But it's somewhere else.
PBIS
Who?
recovery. PBIS recovery.
Oh,
And it is personal behavior incentive something
yeah.
recovery,
Hmm.
where they go. It's still
It's
ISS,
still
but
ISS.
I don't like when they go to that
What?
because the person who's over it does not enforce like
Those
everybody.
and you need somebody that's
Well,
supposed to be there
yeah,
strict.
because I've noticed the ISS teachers are the cool teachers.
Mm.
So I'm sending you to ISS because of your behavior, but
You go in there and hang out,
yeah,
have a good time. It's a good time there.
yeah, and now you
It
just
shouldn't be a good
missing
time.
instruction.
So that's something you got to make up that student.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Because the ISS, there's no way the ISS can teach a third, fourth grader
mm-hmm.
and all that type of stuff all at one time.
Yeah. And then sending them down there with work, if they don't understand it, then they're not going to do it
They ain't
anyway.
gonna do it. And it's not like they're gonna ask the ISS teacher, which could be anybody.
Somebody, yeah.
Mm. Okay. So we getting close to the end. Let me talk about it. Is there anything else you want to share about your experience or tips, tools,
Um,
any myths that you heard about the education system that you don't agree with, or anything like that? Well, I got one for you. I hear it. The education system is a waste of time. I'm gonna get political. It should be dismantled. Do you agree with that? Well, not necessarily dismantled, because the reason we were talking about dismantle the Department of Education, give all the monies back to the states. But do you think the education system is a waste of time?
no, I don't think the education system is a waste of time because, like the way that the education system that we work in is
Mm-hmm.
moving, they are not only teaching academics, but they're teaching real world experiences.
Mm.
So,
Where we at?
yeah.
So we really need to look at our districts and where we look at, and
Yes.
yeah,
So, if we were to ever have to move from
from
this
here,
area
mm-hmm.
and our kids are still in school, I would definitely choose a school based on
The
the
resources.
curriculum and the resources.
Yeah, because like you said, your school math coach and all other type of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you can't beat that
Hope, and we are a Title I school, so we do get funding.
from the federal government.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I can definitely see that our funding is well used
Okay.
because, like I say, we starting fractions in math. Our district is 1-to-1 on devices, laptops, iPad. Some districts aren't. Their students can't take their devices home because another student has to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But every
Oh.
single student in our district has their own device, whether it's a laptop or an iPad.
And we talked about it a little bit. Let's talk about it. What recommendation would you give to parents to help assist you and the child getting the best education possible?
One, support.
Hold on. First, let me chime in first. Whatever platform, grades wise, attendance that the school provides, you should have that app on your phone.
Yes.
Whatever means of communicating with your teacher, you should have that.
Yes. I remember when we were in North Carolina and our two youngest was in elementary.
Yeah.
They had platforms, but our oldest was in middle school and then high school. They had different platforms. So,
But they still have some way that you can check all
yeah,
that stuff.
but I made sure that I had each one downloaded on my phone. So,
And let me be honest, she never did tell me about these platforms. I had to learn about them when I started teaching. So us as parents, we need to be on the same program and make sure dad knows what you know and that mom knows what dad knows. Because usually mom keeps the secret within the education. That's just been for traditional. But I do think mom needs to sit dad down and explain dad what happens, or dad needs to sit mom down and explain to them these apps so both of us is tracking this. Because for us to be united, because like right now we're both united on what these platforms look like, we know.
yeah.
So I would think that would be a recommendation that I think we both should give. So if you don't know what platform that your kids is attendance, there's no reason your kid should be late. You should get a notification, especially if you're sending your kids to school with phones. Should be no.
Yeah.
Okay, I interrupted. But what else you would get?
Um,
So that's what my support looked like. What about yours?
yeah. Well, when I say support, I mean like if you holding your student accountable and supporting that teacher when she's telling you that your student is capable of knowing where their assignments are, knowing what their grades are. I need you to support me in
Holding
holding
him
them
accountable.
accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, then it's going to be a disconnect between the teacher and the parent. And that's definitely not going to benefit the student.
Do you feel like you need support within parent teacher conference? Do you get enough support there or no? Or it's like, I don't do like you got 20 something students. You do a parent teacher conference. How many parents you see?
Um, Out of 24 students, I want to say I actually had a parent teacher conference with maybe 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yes.
Do you think that's important? Do you think more parents should be there to the parent teacher conference?
So for me, the parents that actually requested a
Mm-hmm.
parent teacher conference didn't need a parent
Didn't
teacher
need one.
conference.
And the
Yes.
ones that needed one
Did not
didn't
request
show.
one. Yes.
Didn't show. I think that's important.
Yes. And then we also document that whether the parents
Show up or not.
signed up and showed up for a parent teacher conference. Because we only have 2 parent teacher conferences per year, the fall and in the spring.
So correct me if I'm wrong. When we talking about the system of education, you can't just blame everything on the system. You got to think a percentage. A percentage has to go to the system. The percentage has to go to the teacher.
And
Percentage has to go to the student, and a percentage has to go to the parent.
Yes.
So where would you think majority of that percentage lie?
I think it fluctuates at each level.
At each level, or let's say your elementary, where would you say the most percentage lies with you?
I'm gonna be honest. From pre-K to maybe 3rd grade, most of it lies with the teacher
Okay.
because the students are not at that age where they can.
Communicate and all
Yeah.
that.
But 4th and 5th grade students are getting in, if not already, like students have cell phones. Some students don't have cell phones, but there are things in place that they can use. Like every laptop device has a calendar that students can use
Yeah.
to keep track of their assignments. So I think more accountability is given to the student. The
4th and 5th grade.
Yes. Parents, I know I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been on it as much this year as I was last year. But last year and then I knew exactly what our daughter needed because I taught the same thing. This year I have fallen off, but I know most of what she needs, but I think I could do better.
Yeah, but one thing that I noticed, especially about her, and I think that goes to the both of us. I think she understands how important it is to me and how important it is to you. We set that foundation for her ever since we came here in the 3rd grade. So like I've noticed, and I watch her grades in middle school. She cares about her grades. She cares how she performs, and if she's not getting something, she's gonna let you know. Cause just like about asking me to go take a project, she don't have a phone, but she calls me on the school phone and say, "Hey, Can you bring my project? I know I said 11, but can you bring it at 10? I said, I'm already on my way. Or I say yes. I can't help but to say no because she is doing her part.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that we learn at both being educators that we didn't learn. So that's something why I wanted to put this podcast out to give other people the vision as you as a parent, you have to set that foundation early.
Yeah.
Because if you don't set it in elementary, I'm telling you, middle school and high school is going to be a problem. But having that communication, those devices, got to be important. I do think so.
Yeah, because last year when I started, like, the principal told me have the students on the device as little as possible.
Mm.
And at first I was kind of shocked because the majority of what they do is on the devices. But because they had abused it so much, being on the devices and going on stuff they didn't have any call being on, they had to limit it. So it did make extra work for the teacher because if it's something digital, now we had to find a way to get it to the students without their devices or them being on their devices as much. This year they moved to where devices only go home as needed, which I agree with because when we were virtual, I had students on there where they weren't doing their work when
And
they
tell
were
them,
supposed
while
to
you're
be.
online, you can watch their screens.
Yes,
You can see what they're doing,
we can see your student's screen
playing games.
playing games while we are teaching
Yeah.
right then and there as they are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to training this past week, I had a couple students that were not doing their work and I could send them a message.
The district showed you how to do that when you went to training, you say.
No,
Oh, you was at
I was
training.
at training and I could pull up their computer screens from my laptop and see what each student was on.
I need that access for the iPhone.
And if they weren't on what they were supposed to be on, I could send them a message and it would pop up on their screen. And I sent several of them a message that said get to work. And then when I got back, a lot of them, they was like, Miss Williams, you was watching my computer screen. I was like, y'all think we be telling y'all the untruth when we say
Okay, we know what y'all be
we
doing.
can
Yeah.
see y'all screen.
Yeah. Mm.
But as soon as I sent that message, I seen screens pop up and change to exactly what they were supposed to be doing.
Okay. So this concludes today's episode. So here's the thing. Apple, iPhone, Android, if you're listening, you need to make something to where we can see each other's phones. I need to be able to see what my wife is doing on her phone. I think that'd be a great thing, don't y'all think?
The only thing you gonna see is games and lesson plans. And
No, I'm just saying, don't you think spouses should be able to share what their screen is doing? No,
well,
I
I can
disagree
give
with
you
that.
my phone and you can see that.
You don't need to see what I'm doing. Bump that. No, but iPhone, if you make that, it's gonna be some mad adults out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's good. It's good for, at least to be able to do it for kids so you know what your children are doing on there. But hey, thank you for tuning in to the Power Team Will podcast where I try to give you the best 30 minutes possible. Today's episode is the final episode. We went over a little bit of 30 minutes, but I hope the conversation was beautiful because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about the education system. And please go out there and do your best. Thank you for tuning in, people. Stay blessed. Have a motivated day. Stay moto.